Hello, my friend, and welcome back to Fluent in Moments podcast. I'm so glad you're here today. My name is Lena, and I help you improve your English listening and speaking skills to become more confident through shadowing practice, listening to everyday conversations, and fun learning tips. Have you ever sat in front of a native English speaker nodding politely, pretending you understood, but inside your mind was just noise and panic? If you have, you're not alone. Today, I want to invite you on a journey that could change the way you listen to English forever. Because listening isn't just about hearing words, it's about understanding meaning, catching feelings, and connecting with people. And here's the shocking truth. Most learners spend far too much time studying grammar rules and memorizing word lists, but almost no time training their ears. And that, my friend, is the reason why they struggle in real conversations. In this episode, you'll discover how to turn your listening practice into something powerful, something that actually works. We'll go step by step, and by the end, you'll have strategies you can use immediately. So don't go anywhere, because if you skip even one part of this episode, you might miss the exact tip that could unlock your listening skills for good. Now let's dive into why listening might just be your secret weapon for learning English. When we think about learning English, what's the first thing that usually comes to mind? For most people, it's grammar books, vocabulary, flashcards, and maybe a few speaking exercises here and there. And don't get me wrong, those things are important. But here's the thing that most learners don't realize. Listening is the secret door to better speaking, better pronunciation, and more natural conversation. Think about it. How did you learn your first language as a child? Did you start with grammar charts and verb conjugations? Of course not. You listened. You listened to your parents, your siblings, the people around you. You heard thousands of words before you ever said your first one. Your brain absorbed the sounds, the rhythm, the tone, and only then did you start speaking. But as adults, we flip this process upside down. We try to speak before we've really trained our ears. And then we wonder why we can't keep up when someone speaks fast or why our pronunciation feels awkward. Listening isn't just one of the skills, it's the foundation that makes all the other skills stronger. Let me give you a real-life picture. Imagine you walk into a busy coffee shop in London. You've practiced your order in your head. Hi, can I have a cappuccino, please? You say it perfectly. Great. But then the barista asks, for here or to take away? And suddenly, your brain freezes. The words are familiar, but the speed, the accent, the way they all run together throws you off. You didn't expect it, so you panic. Now here's the truth. If you've been training your ears with daily listening practice, hearing those kinds of questions again and again in real-life speed, that moment in the coffee shop would feel completely different. You'd hear the words as one clear sentence, not just a blur of sound. You'd answer naturally, to take away thanks, and just like that, you'd feel confident, calm, and in control. Listening gives you three powerful advantages. First, it improves your understanding of natural speed. Native speakers often link words together, drop sounds, or use informal phrases that never appear in textbooks. Daily listening helps your brain get used to these patterns so you can catch them instantly. Second, it strengthens your pronunciation without even trying. When you listen carefully to native speakers, really listen, your brain starts to copy the sounds, the intonation, and the stress patterns. Later, when you speak, those same patterns come out naturally. Third, it gives you ready-made phrases and responses. You don't have to invent every sentence from scratch. You'll have heard enough examples to know exactly what sounds natural in different situations. But here's the problem. Many learners don't see listening as active practice. They play English audio in the background while washing dishes or scrolling through their phones, thinking it will somehow sink in. Yes, background listening can help a little, but it's like watching people swim from the shore. You're not really in the water. Active listening means you're paying attention, catching main ideas, noticing key words, and connecting the meaning to the situation. It's a skill you build with focus, just like lifting weights in the gym. Let me tell you about one of my students, Clara. She had a good vocabulary and could write excellent emails in English. But when her company started doing online meetings with their American partners, she felt completely lost. She told me, "It's like they start speaking and my brain just shuts down. I hear the sounds, but nothing makes sense." We changed her routine completely. Instead of spending hours memorizing new words, she spent 20 minutes every day listening to short audio clips, sometimes podcasts, sometimes YouTube interviews, and replaying them until she could catch most of the details. She didn't just listen once, she went through each clip 3 times. First for the main idea, then for details, then to shadow and copy the speaker. After just a month, she joined a video meeting and told me afterwards I didn't understand everything, but I understood enough to follow the conversation, and I even laughed at one of their jokes. That's the magic of listening practice. It doesn't give you perfection overnight, but it gives you confidence, and confidence changes everything. Here's another reason listening is your secret weapon. It trains your brain to think in English. When you hear English daily, your mind starts connecting ideas without translating into your first language. This is huge. Translation slows you down, and in real conversations, speed matters. The faster you understand, the faster you can respond, and the more natural you'll sound. Now I know some of you might be thinking, but I don't have time to practice listening every day. Let me be honest. You don't need hours. Even 15 minutes of active listening is enough to make a real difference if you do it consistently. The key is focus, not length. And it's not just about serious listening with podcasts or news reports. Real progress comes from mixing different types of listening. Some days, yes, you might listen to a BBC News clip. Other days, you might listen to a cooking show, a travel vlog, or even a short comedy sketch. The variety keeps you interested and exposes you to different vocabulary, accents, and speaking styles. Think about how this fits into your daily life. Walking to the bus stop. That's 5 minutes for a short podcast episode. Cooking dinner, play an English recipe video, cleaning your room. Put on an English talk show in the background. You'd be amazed how quickly these small moments add up. And one more important thing, listening is not just about language, it's about connection. When you understand someone's words, you understand their feelings, their humor, their culture. You're not just learning English. You're learning how people think, how they express themselves, and how they connect with each other. That's why I call listening your secret weapon. Because while other learners are stuck memorizing lists and feeling nervous in conversations, you'll be the one who's calm, quick, and ready to respond simply because you've trained your ears to do the work. In a moment, we'll talk about the 3 biggest listening struggles most learners face and how you can overcome them. But before we move on, I want you to remember this. Your ears are your best teachers. Use them every day and they will change your English in ways you can't imagine. Let's be honest, listening in English can feel like a constant uphill climb. You sit there, eyes focused, trying so hard that your brain almost hurts, and yet the words slip away like water through your fingers. You hear the sounds, but the meaning, it just doesn't land. Why does this happen? Why does listening seem so much harder than reading or even speaking? From years of teaching and my own struggles learning other languages, I can tell you there are 3 main listening problems that almost every learner faces. And here's the good news. Once you can recognize them, you can start fixing them. So let's go through them one by one, and I'll give you real examples, practical tips, and even a little practice you can try right now. Struggle number 1, speed and connected speech. Native speakers don't talk like your English teacher in a quiet classroom. They don't pause between every word. They link words together, drop sounds, change pronunciation, and use contractions constantly. For example, instead of saying, "What are you going to do?" clearly, word by word, they might say, "What you gonna do?" Instead of I will meet you later, you'll hear I'll meet you later. And when they're speaking quickly, those changes aren't just possible, they're automatic. If you've only trained your ears on perfect textbook, English hearing connected speech can feel like a completely different language. Picture this. You're at a busy train station in New York. You ask someone for directions, and they answer. Yeah, just head down there, make a left. You'll see a big shop, can't miss it. They speak fast with a local accent, and the words blend into each other. Before you've had a chance to grab the first detail, they've already finished and walked away. You're left standing there thinking, wait, did they say left or right? Here's the truth, your brain can handle this speed. It just needs training. Every time you hear connected speech, your mind is building recognition patterns. The more you hear them, the more natural they become. Quick practice for you. I'll say the slow version first, then the fast connected version. Listen and try to repeat the fast one. What do you want to eat? What do you want to eat? I'm going to the store. I'm going to the store. Did you eat yet? Jeet yet? When you practice this, you're not just improving your speaking, you're training your ears to catch the real rhythm of English. Struggle number 2, unfamiliar vocabulary and expressions. This one sounds obvious. Of course, you can't understand words you've never learned. But it's not just about single words. It's also about idiom slang and cultural references that aren't in your textbook. Imagine you're watching a TV show and someone says, well, that's the last straw. If you've never heard this idiom before, you might imagine a piece of straw from a farm. But in English, the last straw means the final problem that makes someone lose their patience. Or maybe you're in a meeting and a colleague says, let's circle back to that idea later. They're not talking about walking in circles. They mean they'll return to discuss it later. These phrases are everywhere in conversations, in movies, in podcasts, and the only way to master them is exposure. Here's the trick. Don't try to memorize every single unfamiliar word you hear. That's overwhelming. Instead, focus on the ones you hear repeatedly in contexts that matter to you. If you work in a coffee shop, listen for phrases customers use. Can I get a? Could you make that to go? Do you have oat milk? If you love sports, listen for what commentators say. He's on fire today. He's playing extremely well. They're neck and neck. They're very close in score. Quick practice for you. Think of one hobby or interest you have: cooking, football, music, technology, anything. Now, for the next week, spend at least 5 minutes a day listening to something in English about that topic. Don't worry if you don't understand everything. Just focus on recognizing key repeated words and phrases. Those are your priority to learn. Struggle number 3, losing focus and confidence. Listening takes energy. You can't just press play and expect magic to happen. You need to pay attention, but attention is fragile, especially in a second language. Maybe you've experienced this. You start listening to a podcast, and 2 minutes later, you realize your mind has wandered. You've been thinking about dinner or your to-do list instead of the words. Or maybe you're following along well, but then you miss one sentence and panic. You start replaying it in your head, and while you're doing that, you miss the next 2 sentences. Suddenly you're lost. This is exhausting, and it can destroy your confidence. Many learners start avoiding conversations because they're afraid they won't understand. They nod, smile, and pretend, but inside they feel frustrated. I had a student, Jorge, who moved from Mexico to Canada. At work, he'd smile and nod when colleagues spoke, even if he didn't fully understand. He told me I didn't want to slow them down or look stupid. But over time, that habit made him more isolated. We worked together on 2 things: short, focused listening practice every day and polite ways to ask for repetition. He learned to say things like, "Sorry, could you say that again a bit slower? I didn't catch that, could you repeat it?" After a few weeks, he noticed a huge change. Not only was his listening improving, but people actually respected him more for making sure he understood. He realized that asking is not a weakness, It's a smart communication skill. Quick focus exercise. Next time you listen to something in English, set a short goal. For example, I will listen for the main topic and three keywords. Focus only on that. When you succeed, celebrate it. Gradually, you can increase the length and difficulty. This trains your brain to stay present and calm instead of panicking when you miss something. Why knowing these struggles matters. Once you can name the problem speed and connected speech, unfamiliar vocabulary, or losing focus and confidence, you can choose the right strategy. If speed is your problem, focus on listening to short, fast clips and practicing shadowing. If vocabulary is your problem, listen within your interests and collect useful phrases. If focus and confidence are your problem, set small goals and practice asking for repetition. Remember, no one magically gets good at listening by accident. It's a skill you build. Every time you face these struggles and work through them, you're training your brain to adapt. And here's something important. Don't expect to understand 100% of what you hear, even as you improve. Native speakers often don't understand every single word in a conversation. They rely on context, tone, and background knowledge. That's exactly what you'll learn to do too. In the next part, we're going to talk about how to turn your listening from passive hearing into active understanding, the difference between letting English wash over you and actually processing it so you can respond naturally. And once you master that, every podcast conversation and movie becomes a tool for your progress. So take a moment now. Which of these three struggles is your biggest challenge? Keep that in mind because in the next section, I'll show you exactly how to target it and grow your skills. Let's start with a simple truth. Hearing is not the same as listening. Hearing is what happens when sound enters your ears. You can hear the rain outside, you can hear the hum of your fridge, you can hear a conversation happening across the room. But listening, real listening, is active. It's when you focus on the meaning of those sounds, connect them to what you already know, and respond in some way. If hearing is like looking at a photo, listening is like stepping into the picture and exploring every detail. Many English learners confuse the two. They think I listen to English every day. I play music in English, I watch Netflix, I scroll through TikTok, but often what they're doing is passive hearing. They're not truly engaging with the language. And that's why even after years of listening, they still struggle in real conversations. So what exactly is active listening and how do you do it? Active listening means you give the speaker your full attention. You're trying to understand not just the words, but the message, and you're mentally interacting with what you hear. You're asking yourself questions. What's the main idea here? Who's speaking and how do they feel? What details are important? What might they say next? It's the difference between letting English wash over you and actually swimming in it. Why active listening is a game changer? First, it forces your brain to process English in real time. Instead of translating every word into your native language, you focus on meaning. This builds speed and fluency in understanding. Second, it improves memory. When you actively engage with what you hear, you remember it longer. You're not just collecting random sounds, you're storing connected ideas. Third, it makes you a better communicator. When you practice listening actively, you become more aware of tone, emphasis, and even the unsaid, the feelings behind the words. This helps you respond more naturally. 3 stages of active listening practice. Let's break it down into 3 simple steps. Step 1, listen for the main idea. When you first hear something, don't panic about catching every word. Your first job is to get the big picture. Who's speaking? What are they talking about? Is it a story, an opinion, a joke, a question? For example, imagine your colleague says, "Oh, the traffic this morning was insane. Took me an hour just to get across town." Even if you miss words like insane or across town, you can still get the main idea. Traffic was bad and it took them a long time to get to work. Mini practice. I'll tell you a short story, and your task is to find the main idea. Last weekend, I went hiking in the mountains. The weather was beautiful, but halfway up, I realized I'd forgotten my water bottle. I had to turn back and buy one from a small shop near the trail. Main idea: the speaker went hiking but had to turn back because they forgot water. Step 2: listen for details. Now you go back and listen again, this time focusing on specific information. Who, what, where, when, how. With the hiking story, details might include: it was last weekend, the location was the mountains, the weather was beautiful, the problem was forgetting the water bottle, the solution was buying one from a small shop. This is where you can pause, replay, and even write down useful words or phrases you hear. For example, halfway up in the middle of climbing. Trail the path you walk on when hiking. Step 3, but connect and respond. This is the part most learners skip, but it's where the magic happens. After listening, think: how does this relate to me? Have I experienced something similar? What would I say in response? Continuing with the hiking story, you might think: oh, that happened to me once I went cycling and forgot my helmet. Or you might respond with empathy: oh no, that must have been frustrating. This is how you turn listening into interaction, and interaction is what makes language stick. How to practice active listening in daily life. Here's a simple, realistic routine you can try. Choose a short audio or video 1 to 3 minutes long is perfect. First, listen. Get the main idea. Don't pause. Second, listen. Pause and note details, write down useful words. Third, listen. Shadow the speaker, repeat after them, copying pronunciation and rhythm. Final step: summarize what you heard either out loud or in writing. If you do this even 3 times a week, you'll notice a huge difference in how much you understand and remember. Common mistakes when trying active listening: trying to understand 100%, this is a trap. Even native speakers don't catch every single word, especially in noisy environments. Aim for 70–80% and use context for the rest. Stopping too often. Pausing after every sentence can kill the flow. Do your first listen without stopping, then go back for details. Choosing material that's too hard. If you understand less than 50% on the first listen, it's too advanced right now. Pick something just above your level so you can still enjoy it. An everyday example. Let's make this practical. Imagine you're at Starbucks. The barista says, "Hi there, how's your day going? What can I get started for you?" Main idea: they're greeting you and asking what you want to order. Details: friendly tone, informal greeting. "Hi there, casual question. How's your day going?" Before the order. Connection: maybe you remember how in your country staff might not ask about your day. You could respond, "Pretty good, thanks. Could I get a latte, please?" By breaking it down this way, you don't just survive the interaction, you actually enjoy it. Your challenge for today: sometime in the next 24 hours, I want you to find one short audio in English, maybe a podcast clip, maybe a YouTube video, and do the 3-step method. And you can. Main idea, details, connect and respond. If you do that even once, you'll be practicing exactly what active listening is all about, moving from just hearing English to truly understanding and interacting with it. In the next part, we're going to talk about a technique that takes this even further, a method that will train both your listening and speaking at the same time, so you sound more natural without even thinking about it. It's called shadowing, and it's going to be your game changer. All right, my friend, now that you know the difference between hearing and active listening, let's take it one step further. I want to give you a simple, proven framework you can use every single day to train your ears and your brain. I call it the 3-step listening method. It's designed to make your listening practice clear, focused, and effective, and the best part? You can do it in just 15–20 minutes a day. Let's break it down. Step 1, listen for the main idea. This is your warm-up. Play the audio or video once all the way through without pausing, without stopping. Your goal isn't perfection. Your goal is to answer one question. What's the big picture here? Ask yourself, who is speaking? What's the general topic? What's the main feeling? Are they happy, serious, excited, angry? For example, imagine you're listening to a friend's story. Yesterday, I tried a new recipe for chocolate cake. It was a disaster. The oven was too hot, and the cake came out burnt on the outside but raw inside. My kids laughed, but I was so frustrated. You don't need to catch every detail yet. The main idea. They tried baking a cake and it didn't go well. That's enough for step 1. Step 2. Listen for details. Now it's time to go deeper. Play the same audio again, but this time pause when you hear something interesting or unclear. Write down specific details. Inform. Key facts when, where, what happened, useful vocabulary or phrases, anything repeated or emphasized. In the cake story, details might be, it happened yesterday. The recipe was for chocolate cake. The oven was too hot. The result was burnt outside, raw inside. The kids laughed, but the speaker was frustrated. You might also learn new phrases like a disaster, meaning something went very wrong or burnt on the outside, raw inside. Step 3. Connect and respond. Here's where the real magic happens. Take what you've heard and make it personal. Ask yourself, have I ever had a similar experience? How would I respond if this person were talking to me in real life? Maybe you'd think I remember the time I forgot to add sugar to my cake. It was awful. Or you might say, that must have been frustrating. Are you going to try again? This step trains you to respond naturally in real conversations, not just understand silently. Why this method works? It's simple, it's repeatable, and it gives your listening practice structure. Instead of pressing play and hoping for the best, you have a clear purpose at each stage. And because you're engaging with the same audio multiple times, you notice details you'd miss if you only listened once. Even better, you start to remember and reuse the words and phrases you hear, which makes your speaking sound more natural. Let's try it together right now. I'll tell you a short story. First, listen for the main idea. Last Saturday, I went to the park to meet a friend. We planned to have a picnic, but halfway there, it started raining heavily. We ended up running to a cafe nearby and spending the afternoon drinking coffee and playing cards. Main idea. They planned a picnic, but ended up in a cafe because of rain. Now details. It was last Saturday. Location, the park, then a cafe. Activity, picnic, but switched to coffee and cards. Reason, heavy rain. And connection, maybe you've had an outdoor plan ruined by the weather. You could respond, I hate when that happens. At least you found something fun to do. Your challenge, pick one short English video or podcast episode today and do these 3 steps. Main idea, details, connect and respond. Write them down or say them out loud. The key is to actively process what you hear. And before we move to the next part, I want to quickly say this. If you're finding these tips helpful, it would mean so much if you could support this channel. Hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next episode. It's free, it helps more learners find us, and it tells me that you're enjoying this content. All right, in the next part, we're going to unlock a technique that will completely change how you listen and speak, a single habit that can make your pronunciation sharper and your listening faster. It's called shadowing, and it's one of my favorite tools for fluency. If there's one technique that I wish every English learner would try, it's shadowing. It's simple, powerful, and if you stick with it, it can transform your listening and speaking faster than almost anything else I've seen. Now, I know the word shadowing might sound mysterious, but the idea is actually straightforward. It's like being someone's shadow. You follow them exactly, copying what they do. In language learning, Shadowing means listening to a native speaker and repeating what they say in real time or with just a tiny delay, trying to match their pronunciation rhythm and tone as closely as possible. It's a bit like singing along to a song, except instead of music, you're following natural speech. Why shadowing works so well? First, it forces you to listen actively. You can't shadow well unless you're truly paying attention to every sound. Second, it improves your pronunciation without endless boring drills. You're copying natural speech patterns exactly as they are used in real life, so you pick up the right intonation and stress without even thinking about it. Third, it makes your speech flow more naturally. By copying native rhythm and connected speech, you train your mouth and brain to work together, so when you speak on your own, it sounds smoother. And finally, shadowing is fun. There's a certain satisfaction in being able to match the speaker's words almost perfectly. It's like a little game you can play with yourself. How close can I get? How to do shadowing step by step. Step 1. Choose the right material. Start with short, clear audio, maybe 30 seconds to 1 minute long. This could be a podcast clip, a YouTube video, a movie scene, or even an audiobook. If you're a beginner at shadowing, choose something where the speaker talks at a moderate pace. Step 2. Listen first without speaking. Play the clip once, just to understand the main idea. Don't try to shadow, yet this is your warm-up. Step 3. Play and repeat immediately. Now play the clip again and repeat each phrase right after the speaker. Try to match the speed, tone, and even emotion. You don't need to understand every single word perfectly. The goal is to copy the sound and flow. Step 4. Break it into smaller chunks. If it's too fast, pause after a sentence, repeat it, then move on. As you get better, aim to follow along without pausing. Step 5. Record yourself. This is optional but powerful. Record yourself shadowing, then listen back and compare it to the original. You'll hear where you match well and where you need to improve. A quick shadowing demo. Let's try a short example together. Original sentence. And I can't believe how quickly this week has gone by. Shadowing. Listen once. Repeat immediately, matching tone. I can't believe how quickly this week has gone by. Notice how the words connect. Gone by flows together. I can't sounds like I can't with a slightly softer T. When to use shadowing in your practice. You can add shadowing into almost any part of your daily routine. Watching a TV series, pick one short scene and shadow it. Listening to a podcast, choose your favorite 30 seconds and repeat it. Studying from this very podcast episode, shadow one of my stories or examples. Even 5 minutes of shadowing a day can make a noticeable difference after a few weeks. Common mistakes to avoid. Choosing material that's too hard. If the speaker talks too fast or uses too many unknown words, you'll get frustrated. Start easy. Focusing only on words. Shadowing is about the music of the language too, the rhythm, the stress, the melody. Don't just think about vocabulary. Forgetting to listen first. If you jump straight into repeating without listening carefully, you'll end up mumbling sounds without real improvement. A real learner's story. One of my students, May from Japan, used to speak English with perfect grammar, but a very hesitant rhythm. She would pause often searching for the next word, and she always felt nervous about her pronunciation. We started shadowing together using short clips from her favorite British TV show. At first, she found it exhausting. She had to replay each line 3 or 4 times before she could follow, but she stuck with it. After 2 months, her colleagues began to notice a change. Her speech was faster, smoother, and more confident. She told me, "It's like my mouth finally knows what to do. I don't have to think so much, the words just come out." That's the magic of shadowing. Your shadowing challenge. Today, I want you to try this. Pick one short clip in English, 30 to 60 seconds. Listen once for meaning. Play it again and shadow matching as closely as possible. Repeat the same clip every day for 1 week. By the end of the week, you'll notice the words feel more natural in your mouth and your ears will catch them faster when you hear them again in conversation. In the next part, we're going to talk about variety, why you should listen to different voices, speeds, and accents if you really want to be unstoppable in English. But before we move on, if you're enjoying this podcast and want to keep learning with me, please take 2 seconds to subscribe like this episode and share it with a friend who's also learning English. Your support helps me create more free lessons for you, and it means the world to me. Let's talk about something that can supercharge your listening skills and make you truly unstoppable in English: variety. You see, a lot of learners stick to one source, maybe one YouTube channel, one teacher, one accent. At first, this feels safe. You get used to the voice, the speed, the style. You start understanding more and you think, wow, my listening is getting better. And it is, but only for that one voice. Then you meet someone in real life who speaks differently. Maybe they have a different accent, or they use slang you haven't heard, or they speak faster than you're used to. Suddenly you feel like a beginner again. The truth is, if you only train with one voice, your listening is like a one-legged chair. It can stand for a moment, but it's not stable. Variety is what gives you balance. Why variety is so important. Real-life English is unpredictable. On the street, in the office, online, you never know who you'll be talking to. They might be from London, New York, Sydney, or Cape Town. They might speak clearly or mumble a bit. They might use formal English or casual slang. Variety prepares you for all of it. It stops you from becoming voice dependent. Voice dependency is when you only understand the people you've practiced with. I've seen learners who understand their English teacher perfectly but feel lost when talking to someone new. Listening to different voices breaks that habit. It trains your brain to focus on meaning, not just sound. When you hear different accents and styles, you can't rely on memorized patterns of sound. You have to focus on the actual meaning, which is exactly what native speakers do all the time. How to add variety to your listening practice. Tip 1. Mix accents. Make sure you're hearing English from multiple parts of the world. Try American English, different regions. British English, London, Manchester, Scotland. Australian English. Canadian English. Other native accents like Irish or South African. Clear non-native accents, for example, English spoken by people from India, Singapore, or Europe, because in the real world you'll hear these too. Tip 2. Switch formats. Don't just listen to one type of content. Mix. On podcasts, YouTube videos, audiobooks, movies and TV shows, news reports, conversations real or recorded. Each format has a different rhythm and vocabulary. Tip 3. Play with speed. Sometimes slow it down to catch details. Other times speed it up slightly to challenge yourself. Just remember, understanding at a higher speed takes time. Be patient. A weekly variety plan. Here's a simple way to make sure you're getting enough variety without feeling overwhelmed. Monday, short news clip, formal clear pronunciation. Tuesday, a YouTube video or vlog, casual conversational. Wednesday, a movie or TV scene, natural pace, emotional tone. Thursday, podcast with 2 or more speakers, different voices. Friday, audiobook sample, narrative style. Saturday, music, lyrics, or interview with the singer, different rhythm. Sunday, real-life conversation, talk to someone online or in person. Each session can be just 10-15 minutes. Over time, your brain gets used to adapting to new voices instantly. A real learner's transformation. One of my students, Ahmed, was brilliant at understanding his American teacher, but couldn't follow British accents at all. He said, "When I watch BBC, it's like they're speaking another language." We created a plan where he listened to short clips from different English-speaking countries every day. At first, he understood maybe 40-50% of the British clips, but after a month, he could follow the main ideas without subtitles. After 3 months, he was laughing at British TV comedies, something he'd thought was impossible. The change didn't happen because he memorized more words. It happened because his brain learned to adapt. That's the power of variety. Your variety challenge. This week, I want you to listen to 5 different voices in English. They can be from anywhere, different countries, different styles, different speeds. Even if you don't understand everything, just notice the differences in pronunciation, tone, and vocabulary. By the end of the week, you'll already feel more confident when you meet someone who speaks differently from what you're used to. Before we wrap up this part, if you're enjoying this episode and you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. Click subscribe, hit the like button, and share this podcast with a friend who's learning English. It's a small thing that makes a huge difference. It helps me keep creating free lessons for you and helps more learners find this content. In the next part, we'll put it all together: the struggles, active listening, shadowing, and variety into a complete, easy to follow plan you can start using tomorrow. All right, my friend, we've talked about the biggest struggles, how to listen actively, the magic of shadowing, and why variety is your best friend. Now it's time to put everything together into one clear, simple plan you can follow for the next 30 days. Think of this as your listening workout program. Just like going to the gym, the key isn't doing one massive session and then stopping, it's showing up consistently a little bit each day and giving your brain the right mix of challenge and enjoyment. The golden rule of this plan. Before we start, remember this: progress in listening doesn't come from understanding everything. It comes from building your comfort with not understanding everything while still getting the message. If you can relax, focus, and keep going even when you miss a word or two, you're winning. Your daily structure. Step 1. Warm up, 5 minutes. Start each session with something easy, a voice or style you already understand pretty well. This builds confidence and gets your brain in English mode. It could be a short YouTube video from your favorite English creator, a simple podcast segment, or even part of this series. Step 2. Active listening practice, 10 minutes. Here's where you do the 3-step method. Ein Quotient. Main idea: first, listen without stopping. Details: listen again, pausing to note interesting words or facts. Connect and respond. Imagine you're replying in a real conversation. Choose something short, 1 to 3 minutes, so you can go through it fully in this time. Step 3. Shadowing practice. 5 minutes. Pick a small section of your listening material, 20 to 60 seconds, and shadow it. Match pronunciation, rhythm, and tone as closely as you can. If it's too fast, break it into smaller chunks. Your weekly structure. To make sure you're getting variety, we'll follow a simple theme for each day of the week. Monday, news clip, formal, clear pronunciation. Tuesday, YouTube vlog, casual conversational tone. Wednesday, movie or TV scene, emotional, natural pacing. Thursday, podcast with 2 speakers, different voices and interaction. Friday, audiobook sample, storytelling style. Saturday, music interview or lyric breakdown, playful rhythm and idioms. Sunday, real-life conversation with a friend, language partner, or even a voice message exchange online. How to track your progress. Tracking keeps you motivated. Each day, write down the main idea of what you listen to, 2 or 3 new words or phrases you noticed. One thing you did well, e.g., I understood the joke, or I shadowed without pausing. At the end of each week, review your notes. You'll be surprised how much you've covered in just a few days. Handling tough days. Let's be real, some days you'll feel like you understand nothing. That's normal. On those days, lower the difficulty. Go back to an easier source or re-listen to something from earlier in the week. The key is to keep the habit alive. Even 5 minutes counts. A quick success story. One of my students, Laura, followed a plan like this for 30 days. She was working in customer service and struggled to understand customers with different accents. At the start, she could follow about half of what people said without asking for repetition. By the end of the month, she told me, now I can understand most of what they say, And when I don't, I know how to ask confidently. Plus, I've started using some of their expressions in my own speaking. The change didn't happen because she suddenly learned thousands of new words. It happened because she trained her ears, her brain, and her confidence every single day. Your 30-day challenge. Here's your simple checklist. Set aside 20 minutes a day, same time each day if possible. Follow the daily steps, warm up, active listening, shadowing. Rotate your content, follow the weekly theme. Write down your notes, main idea, new words, success point. Celebrate small wins every day you show up, you're building momentum. Extra tip? Make it social. Share your challenge with a friend or post your daily notes online. When other people know you're doing it, you're more likely to stick with it. Plus, you might inspire someone else to join you, and practicing with others is one of the fastest ways to improve. One last thing before we wrap up this part. If you've been enjoying this podcast and you're ready to take on the 30-day challenge, I'd love your support. Hit that subscribe button, give this episode a thumbs up, and share it with at least one friend who's also learning English. The more people join, the more energy and motivation we all have to keep going. And remember, listening is not just about understanding words. It's about connecting with people, with stories, with the world. Every minute you spend training your ears brings you closer to that goal. In our final part, I'll give you a few extra tips to keep your motivation high after the 30 days are over, because this isn't the end of your journey. It's just the start of becoming the confident, unstoppable English listener you've always wanted to be. So you've finished the 30-day listening transformation plan. First of all, congratulations. Really. Most people never make it through 30 days of consistent language practice. You've done something powerful. You've built a habit, you've trained your ears, and you've proven to yourself that improvement is possible. But here's the thing. The 30 days are just the beginning. If you stop now, your progress will slowly fade. If you keep going, your skills will grow beyond what you can imagine. The question is, how do you stay motivated after the excitement of the challenge is over? That's what we're going to figure out today. Tip 1, change your reason, not just your routine. During the challenge, your reason was simple. I want to complete 30 days, but now you need a bigger why, something personal that keeps you going. Maybe you want to understand English movies without subtitles. Maybe you dream of working in an international company. Maybe you just want to talk to your friends around the world without feeling nervous. Write down your new reason and keep it somewhere you'll see every day. It's amazing how much easier it is to practice when you remember why you're doing it. Tip 2, keep the habit small and sustainable. Don't burn yourself out by trying to do 2 hours a day now. You've already proven that 20 minutes works. Stick to that. Some days you'll want to do more, and that's great, but your baseline should be something you can do even on your busiest days. Think of it like brushing your teeth. It's just part of your day. No big decision needed. Tip 3, keep variety alive. Remember part 7. Variety keeps your listening skills sharp. Even after the challenge, keep mixing accents, speeds, and topics. The more your brain adapts to different situations, the easier real-life conversations will feel. Here's an easy rule. Never go more than 3 days in a row listening to the same voice. Keep your ears flexible. Tip 4, turn listening into living. Don't make listening feel like homework forever. Start blending it into the things you already love. Love cooking. Watch recipes in English. Love sports. Follow commentary or interviews. Love music. Listen to lyrics breakdowns. Love travel. Watch vlogs from different countries. When listening is connected to your passions, you'll do it naturally, not because you have to, but because you want to. Tip 5, celebrate micro wins. Progress in listening is sneaky. You might not notice it every day. That's why you need to celebrate small victories. You understood a joke in a TV show without subtitles. You followed a fast conversation at work. You recognized a new phrase and used it yourself. These micro wins are proof that your practice is working. Keep a victory list so you can look back and see how far you've come. Tip 6. Join a listening community. Learning alone works, but learning with others is more powerful. You can join online English listening clubs, find conversation partners, or even create a small group with friends doing the same thing. Share clips with each other, discuss what you understood, and laugh about the parts you didn't. This turns listening into a social fun experience, and you'll stick with it longer. Tip 7. Keep challenging yourself. If you always stay in your comfort zone, your progress will slow down. So every month, add a small new challenge. A slightly faster podcast, a new accent you've never tried before, a movie scene with no subtitles on the first watch, a live event or online meeting in English. Challenges keep your brain alert and remind you that you're still growing. Tip 8. Make English part of your identity. This might sound big, but it's simple. Stop thinking of English as just a skill you're learning. Start thinking of it as part of who you are. You're not someone who studies English, you're someone who lives in English. You read, listen, speak, and think in English every day, even in small ways. This mindset shift changes everything. A story to inspire you. I had a student named Paolo who did a 30-day challenge with me. He was so happy with his progress, but after it ended, he almost stopped. Life got busy, and he thought, I'll get back to it later. 3 months later, he realized he'd forgotten some of the phrases he'd learned. That's when he made a decision. English wasn't just something he'd work on, it was part of his daily life. Now he listens to a 5-minute English podcast while making breakfast, watches one YouTube video in English before bed, and speaks to a language partner once a week. He says it doesn't feel like studying anymore, it's just me. And his skills still growing month after month. Your post-challenge action plan. Pick your new why, write it down. Keep the daily habit small, 20 minutes minimum. Mix it up, change voices and formats regularly. Link listening to your hobbies, make it enjoyable. Track micro wins, keep a victory list. Find your tribe, join, or create a listening group. Add monthly challenges, push beyond your comfort zone. One final call to action. If this podcast has helped you through the challenge, I'd love your support to keep it going. Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and share this episode with someone who's learning English. You never know, you might be the reason they finally stick with their learning. Remember, you don't have to be perfect to be an excellent listener. You just have to keep showing up day after day, making small improvements. That's how you become unstoppable. And with that, I want to say thank you for joining me on this journey. This isn't goodbye. It's just the start of a whole new chapter in your English listening adventure. We've reached the final part of this journey together, and I want to leave you with more than just tips and techniques. I want to give you the mindset and the habits that will turn all your listening practice into lasting, unshakable confidence in English. Because here's the truth. Confidence doesn't come from knowing every word in the dictionary. It doesn't come from understanding 100% of a conversation. Confidence comes from knowing that whatever happens in a conversation, you can handle it. Why confidence matters more than perfection. I've met learners who know a huge amount of vocabulary but still freeze in real conversations. Why? Because they're afraid of making mistakes. They're afraid of not understanding. And that fear stops them from using what they already know. On the other hand, I've met learners with smaller vocabularies who jump into conversations without fear. They listen, they guess, they respond, and they keep going. And because they practice more, their skills grow faster. Confidence isn't about being fearless. It's about being brave enough to keep going even when things aren't perfect. How to turn your listening into confidence. Step 1. Accept imperfection. You will never understand every single word in English. Even native speakers miss things. The goal isn't perfection, the goal is connection. If you can understand the main idea and respond appropriately, you've succeeded. Step 2. Practice recovery. What do you do when you miss something? Here are a few simple tools. Ask for repetition. Sorry, could you say that again? Ask for clarification. Do you mean? Paraphrase to check understanding. So you're saying that? When you know how to recover, you stop panicking when you miss a word, and that's real confidence. Step 3, collect go to responses. Have a few ready made phrases for common situations. That's interesting, tell me more. I'm not sure I understand. Can you explain? Wow, I didn't know that. These give you something to say while you process what you've just heard. The role of listening in speaking confidence. A lot of learners think speaking practice is separate from listening practice, but they're deeply connected. The more you listen, the more natural expressions and rhythms become part of your brain's library. Then, when you speak, you can pull from that library without overthinking. It's like learning to play music you can't play well if you've never listened to the song. Listening is your rehearsal, speaking is your performance. How to keep the momentum forever? Keep daily listening small but consistent. Even 5 minutes on a busy day is better than zero. Refresh your content every month. Try new voices, topics, and formats. Use listening as a social tool. Join discussions, comment on videos, talk about what you've heard. Reflect regularly. Notice moments when you understood something easily that would have been difficult a month ago. A mindset shift that changes everything. Instead of thinking, I have to practice listening, start thinking, I get to experience the world in English. That small change makes it feel less like a chore and more like an opportunity. English isn't just a school subject anymore. It's your ticket to new ideas, new cultures, new friendships. A real-world example. I once worked with a learner named Sophia from Brazil. She told me my dream is to travel alone to London and feel comfortable talking to anyone. We built her listening and confidence step by step, and she followed the same principles we've talked about in this series. When she finally made the trip, she texted me, I just spent 20 minutes chatting with a local shop owner about tea. I didn't understand every word, but I enjoyed every minute. That's the kind of confidence I want for you. Your final challenge. For the next 7 days, I want you to do this. Listen to something in English every day, anything you like. Write down one sentence you heard and liked. Use that sentence in a real or imaginary conversation. By the end of the week, you'll have 7 new tools in your speaking library and the confidence to use them. Before we say goodbye, if you've made it to the end of this journey with me, I want you to know you already have what it takes to become an excellent listener and a confident speaker. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep showing up one day at a time. And if you want to keep growing with me, make sure you subscribe like this episode and share it with a friend. Every listener we add makes this community stronger, and it keeps me motivated to create more free lessons for you. Thank you for spending this time with me. I can't wait to hear your success stories, and I'll be here whenever you need that next boost in your English journey.